Nobody. Yeah. There's nobody. So I will skip the introduction. Yeah. 1 second. All right. So let's begin then. So in the previous session, we discussed how what are the defining characteristics of uh, uh, Kalyan Mitra or a guru, and then we'd also seen what are the defining characteristics of the teacher and the student who relies upon the teacher. And then we'd initiated the discussion on what the student needs to do to rely on the teacher in thought. And within that, there are a couple of sections that we had covered. So there was a general introduction on how the student needs to rely in thought. And you'd also seen what are the different attributes that the student needs to display, attitudes that he needs to have um, to rely in thought on a teacher. And so there were 4 different attitudes we saw that the student needs to cultivate. And his reliance on the teacher needs to be rooted in faith. So his training in faith also is critical. And then we saw uh, another aspect of the practice, which is to remember the teacher's kindness and uh, being respectful to the teacher. So we'll use that to structure our Sutra Buddha Yoga practice. So today we'll start our session with a short meditation, and we'll do a visualization meditation where we'll visualize Shakyamuni Buddha, and then we'll also visualize our root guru, our teacher, as being of one essence with Shakyamuni Buddha. And to do the Guru Yoga practice, we'll uh, recollect our instructions from this part of the session that we had last weekend, which is to remember the teacher's kindness. So we'd seen how what are the different ways the teacher is kind to us. So we'll just recollect those instructions and conduct our Guru Yoga practice. And then the other part that is pending that we need to cover is how the student needs to rely on the teacher in practice. Yeah? So in thought, we've covered, but how to do it in practice is something that we need to cover. And then conclude the session with the benefits of relying on a teacher. And then there's a specific practice that we need to cultivate, which is the practice of, or rather, in order to enhance our practice of Guru devotion, there's this 7-limbed prayer that we do. So we'll also study what are the different limbs of the 7-limbed prayer and see how that can aid and enhance our practice of Guru devotion. So let's begin the session then. So we'll do a short meditation, as I said, a short visualization meditation. So make sure you're in a comfortable posture. Keep your back erect, legs crossed in full lotus posture if possible. And then the shoulders erect, straight, arms and limbs relaxed. And the left palm holding the right palm with thumbs touching each other. Chin slightly tucked in and tip of the tongue just resting behind the upper row of teeth. And the eyes either half open or closed. So take a moment to just cut out all the chatter in your mind. And then in the space in front of you, at the level of your forehead, about 2 meters in front of you, just visualize a golden throne. The throne is adorned with all kinds of precious stones and jewels. And it is supported by a pair of snow lions at each of the four corners. So the lions at the four corners, they symbolize the four kinds of fearlessnesses that characterize the omniscient state. And on this golden throne is a fully blossomed lotus. The fully blossomed lotus signifies the holy body and the holy mind of the Buddha, free from the unstained by the flaws of samsara. And on this lotus seat is a sun disk. It signifies the clear light nature of the Buddha's omniscient mind. And on top of the sun disk is a moon disk, symbolizing the illusory body of a completely enlightened being. So the sun disk and the moon disk together, they symbolize the unification of the state of clear light and the illusory body of a completely enlightened Buddha. And the Buddha seated on these two symbolizes that he's achieved this, he's attained this state of unification. The lotus seed, the sun disk, and the moon disk, they can also symbolize the three principal aspects of the path, which are renunciation, bodhicitta, and the right view. So seated on these three is Shakyamuni Buddha. So Shakyamuni Buddha has attained all the perfect realizations, and he's eliminated and abandoned all kinds of obscurations, all the obscurations. He embodies the omniscient mind of all the Buddhas, and is also one essence with our Guru, our root Guru. So Shakyamuni Buddha is the one who will show us the path out of the state of suffering in samsara towards liberation and omniscience. So Shakyamuni Buddha's body is magnificent, it's very radiant. It's made of pure light, golden light. He wears the three robes of a complete, fully ordained bhikshu. His face is beautiful and has a beautiful smile. His eyes have a compassionate gaze, and they direct that compassionate gaze at all the sentient beings. His eyes are long, beautiful, and fine. They are half open, signifying that the Shakyamuni Buddha is in a state of a meditative voice, meditating on the emptiness nature of all phenomena. But at the same time, the eyes are half open, indicating that while being in a state of meditative poise, Shakyamuni Buddha is also working for the liberation of all sentient beings out of his compassion. His lips are red, hair dark blue, black, and each hair curls to the right. And on his crown is Ushnisha. His right palm rests on his right knee, with the middle finger touching the moon disk, signifying that he's attained victory over the Mara of desire, Devaputra. His left palm is in the meditation posture, resting in his lap, signifying that he's attained victory over the Mara of the unwholesome thoughts, afflictive thoughts of Klesha Mara. The left palm holds a begging bowl filled with pure nectar, symbolizing that he's attained victory over the Skanda Mara, or the Mara of aggregates. He sits in a Vajra posture surrounded by an aura of light, signifying that he's attained victory over the Mara of death, of Mrityu Mara. So while he personally has attained victory over all these four kinds of Maras, he's also working towards relieving other sentient beings from the terror of these Maras, from the grasp of these Maras. So he sits in an aura of light, and each aspect of his body signifies a realization of the omniscient state, and also is indicative of the causes that led to those perfect realizations. He is the ultimate refuge, and he encompasses our Guru, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And from his heart emanate rays of light pervading the entire space in all the 10 directions. And on the tip of each such ray manifests the glory of Shakyamuni Buddha. One such ray is directed towards me, and Shakyamuni Buddha smiles at me and says, "Son of lineage, if you want to be free from samsara, if you want to be liberated from samsara, I'll show you the path, I'll guide you." Thus saying, he also promises to relieve me of all the misery in the lower realms. I, on the other hand, have been circling in samsara for an infinite time, taken infinite number of rebirths, and yet I'm not free from this cycle of birth and death in samsara. In this lifetime, though, I've got this precious human birth, human form, and have also been fortunate in being connected with the Dharma, and also fortunate in being connected with the Sangha who show me the path, who assist me on the path. So my birth right now is characterized by all these freedoms and endowments, but there's no guarantee that these freedoms and endowments will persist. I could die any moment, could be today. And if I die, there's no guarantee that in my next lifetime I'll be united with these freedoms and endowments. It's more likely that I'll be reborn in one of the lower miserable realms. And I need to ask myself if I can endure the suffering of those lower realms even for a second. Even by some good fortune, if I'm reborn as a deva or a human, there's immense suffering in these realms too, particularly in the realm of humans. There's the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, dying, and all kinds of mental anxiety that we have to deal with. In the realm of devas, there's a lot of suffering towards the end of one's life there. And at the end of one's life there, one will fall back in one of the lower realms and continue suffering. So there's nothing to be proud of, even if you are reborn in one of the higher realms. In this lifetime, though I have this human form and access to the Dharma and to the Sangha, and have the necessary intelligence to discriminate between the flaws of samsara and the benefits of liberation. So we should all strive for liberation from samsara. But individual liberation is not good enough. Other sentient beings would be left behind in samsara, who, like us, aspire to be free from the suffering in samsara. So we should all aspire to help them to reach a state where we can help them in their pursuit of liberation. And in order to do that meaningfully, we need to attain the state of omniscience. So we should all aspire for that state, the state of omniscience. And in our pursuit of omniscience, we need some assistance, we need some guidance. That assistance, that guidance will come from the three jewels. The Buddha, who is the teacher of the path, the Dhamma, which is the path itself, and the Sangha, practitioners who have cultivated some insights into the path and hence can assist us on the path. So let us take refuge in these three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Sanghaya. The three jewels visualized in front of you. Let's also make a short 7-limb offering. So the first one is homage, obeisance. So visualize that you make prostrations with your body, speech, and mind. So visualize that the entire space is filled with duplicate copies of yourself, and you make extensive prostrations, full body prostrations to the three jewels. Also, visualize that you're offering mental homage and verbal homage with the three jewels. Then the second offering is second limb is the practice of making offerings. So imagine that the entire space is pervaded with beautiful offerings and extend these offerings to the three jewels. Third limb is the limb of confessions. So visualize that just confess all the transgressions, infractions that you committed in relation to the three jewels and in relation to other sentient beings, and resolve not to repeat these infractions in the future. Fourth limb is rejoicing in the merits of all sentient beings of all the three times. Then making an appeal to our gurus to continue to turn the wheel of the doctrine to benefit all sentient beings and not to pass into nirvana, make supplications, pleading with them not to pass into nirvana and continue showing us the path. And the last limb is dedication. So dedicate all the merit to attaining a state of complete enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So cultivate your mind in the aspect of this aspiration. Aspire for the state of omniscience to benefit all sentient beings. So that's the mind of the bodhicitta. So let's make a short bodhicitta prayer. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so we began our session last time by discussing the 10 characteristics that define a guide, the Mahayana guide. So do you recollect those characteristics? So there were 10, yeah? So the first one was disciplined, yeah? The teacher needs to be disciplined. So dantam, yeah? And then dantam, then there was serene, so shama. And then upashantam was the third one, then gunadhikam, and then sa udyamam, agam, agamadhyam, prabhutva, prabhuddha tattvam, then vachasa abhyupetam, krupatmakam, and kheda vivarjitam. So those were the 10 characteristics. So what do they imply? So the first one, disciplined, is to be disciplined through training in the ethical discipline. So he has to be particular about keeping the vinaya and also keeping the vows, bodhisattva vows and the tantric vows and other vows that he might have taken. So dantam shila yoga, indriya damena. So through the practice of shila and other yogas, the teacher has to have subdued daman, all the indriyas. So indriyas are the gates through which you commit translations. So attained control over the indriyas through the practice of shila. And then there was the quality of serene or serenity, having accomplished the training of meditative concentration. So the first three are about shila, samadhi, and prajna. Yeah, the first three characteristics. So discipline, serenity, and then thorough pacification. So these are the foundation of any trainee's practice. But the teacher needs to have accomplished this, perfected this practice. So the first one was dantam, which is through the practice of shila. Second one is the practice of shanta, which is the achieved through samadhis. So shantam samadhi yoga adhyatmam cheta shamathena. So chet is the mind, shamathena, shamatha is to thoroughly pacify. Then the third one was upashantam. So upashantam is further pacification of the kleshas through wisdom. So upashantam, prajnatva. Prajnatva is wisdom. Having attained wisdom, then upasthita klesha upashantam. So all the kleshas that are present in one's mind stream, those need to be thoroughly pacified. Then there was the fourth quality, guner adhikam, na samam va nyunam va. So the teacher needs to have qualities which exceed the qualities in a student. They can't be equal, na samam, na nyunam. So they can't be either equal or lesser than the disciple. Then sa udyamam. So he needs to be industrious. Yeah, he needs to be energetic. And he sa udyamam na udasinam pararthe. So in the pursuit of pararth, which is others' welfare, he cannot attain a state of dejection or be disappointed. So the teacher is energetic and he takes constant delight in the welfare of others. And then there are the other five, agam, adhyam, na alpashrutam. So agam is scriptures, and he can't be, not well versed with the sutra, with the agam. So na alpashrutam. Alpa is less. So na alpa is negation of less. So no less in contemplating and reflecting on the scriptures. Then prabuddha, tattvam, tattva adigamat. So prabuddha is to attain realization in the elements. So tattva adigamat, adigam is to realize, recognize the state of all the elements. And then he has to have the quality of being skilled in instructing disciples. So vachasa abhyupetama vakarane anopetama. So he needs to be skilled in instructing disciples. So, and then there was the quality of being possessing loving concern, pure motivation for teaching. He shouldn't be kind of engaging in the practice of teaching to gain respect or material prosperity. And he has to have abandoned any kind of dejection or dispiritedness. So those are the 10 qualities. And then the student himself has to have 3 qualities, which is the quality of being intelligent, diligent, and non-partisan. Yeah. And he needs to have cultivated those 4 attitudes. So what are the 4 attitudes? Of being like a good son. Yeah. So suputra samachittena. So he has to have a mind or an attitude which is like that of a suputra or a good son. Why? Because kalyan mitra mukho dikshanataya. And how it is cultivated? How is it reflected? In how is that attitude reflected? If you've cultivated the state where you are obedient in the light of any kind of instructions that the teacher gives. So by like a good son, he just glances at the parents' facial expressions and then submits to their instructions, to their will, and does what they say. So similarly, the student, the disciple also has to have a similar kind of attitude in relation to the teacher. He should have abandoned all kinds of misplaced self-assertiveness. Self-assertiveness, it's not saying that you abandon your self-assertiveness, misplaced self-assertiveness. So, and this is in relation to a qualified teacher, not any teacher. Yeah, a qualified teacher, a teacher who has those 10 qualities that we just saw. You shouldn't let any teacher you do not deem to be a qualified teacher to lead you around. Yeah.
Yeah, this is someone that you've already evaluated and accepted as a teacher.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The second quality was the attitude which is like a diamond. So Vajra samachittena abhedya ashayataya. So Vajra samachittena abhedya. Abhedya is something that cannot be split. So you need to have an attitude like that, very stable kind of attitude, and no condition can create a split between yourself and the teacher. So you need to have a very close, tight kind of relationship with your teacher that cannot be split apart by any other being like demons or bad friends or the like. So that was the second attitude. The third attitude was attitude which is like the earth or Prithvi samachittena sarva bhara vahana parinamana taya. So this means that the disciple needs to be willing to take on all the responsibilities of the Guru's activities. The Guru himself is like a Bodhisattva and he's engaging in Bodhisattva activities. So he needs to have the willingness to take on the responsibilities of the Guru's activities, not become dispirited by any of the responsibilities asked of him. And the fourth is how to assume this responsibility, which has a classification further into 6 attitudes. So the first one is attitude like that of enclosure, chakravala samachittena sarva dukkha asampravedhana taya. So you create an enclosure, circular enclosure around yourself, which cannot be breached by any form of suffering. So whatever suffering you may be called upon to deal with, that suffering will not sway you from executing your responsibilities in relation to the Guru's Bodhisattva activities. So fortified enclosure. Then the second attitude here in the fourth one was attitude like a worldly servant. Loka dasa samachittena sarva karma samadhana vijugupsanataya. So perform even the worst tasks in their entirety without wavering. So no task is too menial for you to be dealing with in executing your responsibility in relation to your teacher. The third attitude was to be like a sweeper, where you sweep away all your pride and your feelings of superiority, and you consider yourself to be inferior or lower to your guru. So rajopaharana samachittena. Rajopaharan is a sweeper, is like a broom. Yeah, be like a broom. So man atiman vivarjana taya. So you dispose your pride, you dispose your feelings of superiority. The fifth one was attitude like that of a vehicle. Yana samachittena guru bhara vanataya. So take on even the most heavy responsibilities. The first one was take on all responsibilities, yeah, in the third attitude. This one you're talking about specifically heavier responsibilities and not be kind of not just dejected. You take on those heavy responsibilities with glee, with pleasure. And the fifth attitude was to be loyal, even in the light of any kind of criticism that the guru directs at you. So be like a dog, yeah, shwa samachittena akrodhanataya. So you cannot be expressing any kind of displeasure, even in the light of any kind of criticism that is directed towards you. And the sixth one was to be like a ferry. Now samachittena gaman agamana parikhinnataya. So not to be tired of executing the responsibility of the guru's bodhisattva activities. However, many times the guru asks you to do something, you be prepared for that. So those were the attitudes, the 9 different attitudes collapsed into 4 attitudes that the disciple has to display. So then that was the first attitude, the first kind of training that the disciple has to cultivate when he cultivates his practice of guru devotion in thought, yeah, in reliance in thought. The second part of that practice was to cultivate that practice by enhancing your faith in the guru. So we'd seen that. And then the third part was to recall all the different various ways in which the guru has been kind to you. So there were 10 different ways in which the guru has been kind to you. So can you recall those 10 different ways in which the guru has been kind to you? Yeah. Or look at it in a different way. So the guru is somebody you want to emulate. Yeah. So when you speak about the different various ways, 10 different ways in which the guru is kind to you, exhibits his kindness to you, essentially you're talking about cultivating the same kind of qualities, or endeavoring, working on cultivating the same kind of qualities. So think about it as those 10 different qualities that you need to cultivate in order to advance on the path and emulate the guru. So what are those 10 different qualities? You need to cultivate the quality of being a savior to your to other sentient beings. Savior, how? By being able to protect them from rebirth in the miserable realms. So paritrayaka mama kalyana mitra sarva durgati prapata gatibhya. So sarva durgati is a reference to all the lower realms. So fall, prapat is fall, any kind of movement in the direction of the lower ramps. The Kalyan Mitra or the Guru helps you arrest that, negate that. So he's like a paritrayaka or a savior. The second way in which he's kind to you is by being a charioteer who shows you, who causes you to know the sameness of all phenomena. So pranetaro mama kalyana mitra dharma samata anaya anugamena. So he leads you anaya dharma samata to the sameness, to know you, leads you in the direction of knowing the samata of all dharmas, the sameness of all phenomena. And hence he is like a pranetaro mama kalyan mitra dharma samata anaya anugamena. Then the third way in which he is kind to us is by showing us paths that lead to happiness and those that take away from the path of happiness, so that lead to unhappiness. So he is like a darshayitaro mama kalyana mitra. So the kalyan mitra darshayit, so he shows us, he is like a revealer who reveals marga sama, so even path. Sama is like an even, uniform kind of path. And vishataya, so vish is like an uneven path. So Samavisha is like even and the opposite of even, not even. So even path is one that leads to happiness and also shows us the path that leads to unhappiness. So Margavish would be the uneven path. So he is one who darshit, who shows you the path, revealer. The fourth was avavad, avavadakani mama kalyana mitra samanta bhadra bodhisattva charyayam. So somebody who, a kalyan mitra who instructs me in the bodhisattva deeds, in the noble deeds, samanta bhadra. Bhadra is auspicious or noble. So the all noble deeds of a bodhisattva's conduct. So he's like an instructor who instructs me in the bodhisattva deeds. So avavadak, Kalyan Mitra is an avavadak who shows the bodhisattva's conduct. Yeah, and then the fifth one is Deshe Trini Mama Kalyana Mitra Sarvadnyata Nagara Margasya. So Sarvadnyata is the state of omniscience. Nagar is a city. So he shows us the path to the city of omniscience. So he is like an advisor who reveals to me the path that leads to the state of omniscience. And then the next one is he ushers me, guides me into the city of omniscience, not just revealing the path to the city of omniscience, but he guides me into the city of omniscience. So Praveshayit Trini Mama Kalyan Mitrani Sarvadnyata Puram. So Sarvadnyata is the state of omniscience, the city of omniscience. So he guides me into the city of omniscience. And he's also a leader who causes me to enter the ocean of reality sphere. So Avatarak, he's an Avatarak. So he guides me into what? Mama Kalyana Mitrani is Dharma Dhatu Naya Sagare. So Dharma Dhatu is the sphere of reality. So the ocean of the sphere of reality. So he guides me into, he gives me instructions that help me realize the wisdom of reality, all realms, the reality of all realms. Dharma Dhatu Naya Sagare. Avatarak. So he is one who guides me into the descent into the reality of all phenomena, sphere of reality. And then he is Alok Karani Mama Kalyan Mitrani Trayatva Neya Sagar Nayasya. So one who leads me into knowledge about the knowables, all phenomena of all the three times, past, present, and future. So he illuminates, he's like an illuminator who illuminates, shows me the sea of past, present, and future phenomena. Illuminator. And then he is also kind by virtue of the fact that he guides me or reveals me to the circle of the noble beings, an assembly working for universal welfare. So Darshya Trini Mama Kalyana Mitrani Sarvartha Mandala Ganasya. Sarvartha is universal welfares. Mandal is the sphere and Gana is the assembly. So an assembly of noble beings who are working, who are part of the sphere of this universal welfare, people working for universal welfare. So essentially, it's a reference to the bodhisattvas who are working for universal welfare. So he connects me with the sphere of the bodhisattvas. So he's a guide who reveals to me the circle of the noble beings. And then last, the 10th one is that he helps me enhance my white virtues, increase my virtues. So he's like an enhancer. So the teacher increases all my virtues. Vivardiyataro mama kalyana mitrani sarva shukla dharma nama. So sarva shukla dharma is the white virtues. Yeah, shukla is white. So the white virtues, all white virtues, vivarda is to enhance. So he's somebody who enhances my white virtues. So vivardiyataro mama kalyana mitrani kalyana mitra sarva shukla sarva shukla dharma nama. So these are the 10 ways in which the teacher has been kind to us. And hence, these are also the same qualities that I need to imbibe, I need to cultivate, I need to work on cultivating these qualities if I want to emulate my teacher. So I need to be a paritrayak, I need to be a pranet, I need to be a darshiyat who shows the path that leads to happiness and unhappiness. I need to be an Avavadak, a Deshit, Praveshit, who helps my disciples or my followers into the city of omniscience. And then I need to be somebody who is in the form of an Avatara, who helps my followers uh, into the sphere of the Dharma Dhatu, and need to be an illuminator who illuminates the reality of the phenomena of the three times. I need to be somebody who guides uh, the followers into towards the assembly of the noble beings, and somebody who enhances their quiet virtue. So these are the 10 ways in which the teacher has been kind to me, and hence are the qualities that I need to cultivate in order to eliminate the teacher. So those were the 10 qualities, 10 different ways in which the teacher has been kind to me. So now let's come to the practice that the disciple has to cultivate in order to enhance his, or rather cultivate the practice of the reliance in practice. What we've seen so far is reliance in thought. Now, reliance in practice, there are three avenues through which you can please the gurus. One is by offering material gifts. Then the second one is to respect the teacher and serve the teacher with body, speech, and mind. The third one is to practice the instructions that the teacher has given you. So offering material benefits, respecting and serving with body, speech, and mind, and then practicing in accordance with the teacher's instructions. So the best way to rely on a teacher in practice is by following the instructions that the teacher has given you. So that's the best form of practice. Yeah, but you also can rely in practice by making material offerings to the teacher and serving the teacher with your body, speech, and mind. So satkara labheya paricharyata cha sevet mitram pratipattish cha iti sevaya vastu dharme tatha adnyaya adnyayashaya आज्ञा आशय एव धीमान मित्रम प्रगच्छते समय natashcha. So sevaya vastu. So through material gifts, you offer seva to your teacher. Dharme tatha ajna. Ajna is instruction. Yeah. So you cultivate the attitude of uh, following the instructions, advice given by your teacher. And then you also respect and serve the teacher with your body, speech, and mind. I've seen this in practice when some of my fellow monks in our monastery. You're not there when this center began its activities out of this place. There was a teacher called Khensu Rinpoche Lobsang Tsering. So he used to come. He was the first. He was the person who gave the first kind of sermon in this place. So this place was inaugurated on January 7th, 2005. So he was the person who was invited. So he passed on, of course. He was a former abbot of Seraji Monastery, and he had disciples all over the monasteries, irrespective of which hostel they belong to. And then he was quite old by the time when he came in. He was already in his late 80s, and he had some difficulty walking around. There's some problem in his knees. So there was a very senior monk in our monastery. He himself was one of the senior monks in the administration. So I had seen him, this thing that he was talking about, serving the teacher with body, speech, and mind. So Khensu Rinpoche had a problem with his knees and he couldn't walk around. So, this person, he helped him get some treatment for his knees in Italy. But before going to Italy, he had to come to Bangalore to get his visa, and he was staying with us in a place in Indranagar. And this person would massage his teachers, Khenzo Rinpoche's legs for hours. And just sit there, sit quietly next to him, or maybe have a chat and keep massaging his uh, Khenzo Rinpoche's legs. Um, and then, help with other things also, bathing and other things also. So even later when he got his treatment, he could walk around, but of course, the movement was not as free as it was before he got the treatment, or rather, when he was younger. But this person that I'm referring to, he would really, put in his heart in serving the teacher. Even I had the good fortune of serving Lobsang in Khenzo Rinpoche Lobsang setting. Whenever he would fall sick, I would be the person interfacing between the doctors and Khenzo Rinpoche. Couple of occasions I accompanied him to the hospital also, helped him there. So of course I would be the secondary help. There would be somebody who would be primarily assisting him, assisting with cleaning his body and all that, massaging and everything. But I also had the good fortune of helping him in that way. So yeah, those kind of things we need to do in order to cultivate this practice of relying on a guru in practice. Yeah. And the first one, of course, is making of material gifts. So the student has to have this attitude of wanting to share whatever precious he has, valuable he or she has, with your guru. Of course, the guru himself is not expecting anything of that sort. He is not expecting gifts. But the student has to have that attitude of wanting to part with whatever precious resources, valuable resources he or she may have. Because it's in relation to the guru. Guru is your supreme field of accumulating merit. Yeah. So the more you make these kind of offerings to the guru, because it's a very potent kind of basis in relation to which you are engaging in that virtuous act. That virtuous act becomes very potent, and then it yields you a lot of merit and virtue in the future. So in order for you to enhance your accumulation of merit and wisdom, you need to make offerings to the guru. And physical service and serving the guru with your body and speech. As I said, helping the guru with bathing, massaging the guru's body, cleaning dirt from the body, nursing when he's ill. And then serving the guru with vocal actions is whenever the opportunity is presented, you recall the good qualities of the guru. You share the good qualities, his bodhisattva practice with other disciples, so that they also kind of develop good connection with the guru. So pointing to the guru's good qualities would be a way to serve the guru with your speech. And as I said, the primary means to engage in this practice, or rather reliance, cultivating this reliance in practice, would be to follow the instructions of the guru. So whatever instructions he's giving, or any kind of advice he's given to you, make sure that you practice. You practice those. You follow those instructions. Follow that advice. Yeah. So the third aspect of this practice is the most important. Practicing according to the Guru's words. So whatever attainments or realizations you accumulate in relation to the advice that the Guru has given is the best way you can rely on the Guru in practice. So that's the best offering you can make. Yeah. So if he's given you instructions on how to cultivate compassion, ensure that you follow those instructions. If he's given you instructions on how to cultivate bodhicitta, ensure that you follow those instructions. That's the best offering you can make to him. Material offerings, of course, fine, but the best offering is you have offering of your practice. Yeah. So that's about how you cultivate this reliance in practice. So what are the benefits of all this things that we're speaking about? Reliance in thought and reliance through practice. So there are many benefits of relying on a teacher. So there's this text called the Sutra of Kshitigarbha. So it talks about how you can enhance your practice of accumulation of wisdom and merit and purification of your transgressions through this practice of relying on a guru in thought and in practice. So if you rely on a guru in thought and practice, then you are able to purify even the heaviest of karmas that you would have accumulated. Karma, if not purified, would probably result in taking rebirth in the lower miserable realms for an infinite number of lifetimes or limitless eons. And how does that happen? There's something called uh, changeable or movable karma. Yeah? So some karma is not changeable in the sense that whatever seed it takes, karma takes the form of a seed, right? And then it is bound to yield a certain kind of result. And whatever practice you engage in, that result cannot be altered. But there are certain kinds of karma that you can change. Yeah? So although the seed is there, you can alter the conditions or work on the conditions. So either the seed is prevented from fructifying, or even if it fructifies, it yields a result which is not as negative as it would have otherwise yielded. So that kind of karma is called changing karma, changeable karma. It's something that we'll discuss in the session tomorrow. So you can purify your karma through this practice of relying on your guru in thought and in practice. What happens is this kind of heavy karma that you have will yield only a slightly negative kind of result in the form of, let's say, some sort of illness that you experience in this lifetime, or maybe you experience um, the the result of having to deal with some sort of a drought or a famine, much a little more serious than dealing with this illness, but nevertheless, it's something that you can always kind of deal with. And it could also kind of change the character of the karma, could be changed in the sense that it could just yield maybe a minor headache in this lifetime, and the karma is purified. It is all possible through this practice of guru devotion. And then on the other hand, this is purification. On the other hand, it could also help in enhancing your accumulation of merit. Uh, so it said that the kind of merit that you could accumulate through practice of guru devotion in a single morning, just making maybe in a short 7 limb offering to the guru, that would exceed the merit that person uh, would accumulate if you were to make material offerings to a teacher for an infinite number of times. So just by this practice of guru devotion, by relying on him in thought and in practice, if you were to make this 7 limb offering, the merit that you accrue through that practice would exceed the merit that accrues to a person who makes infinite number of gifts over an infinitely long time to a teacher. Yeah. So these are the benefits of relying on a teacher. So that is about the practice of relying on thought and relying on a guru in thought and in practice, and hence through that you can cultivate this practice of guru devotion. Yeah. And then there's another specific kind of practice that I just referred to, the 7 limbed offering that you make. So we'll discuss the specifics of the 7 limbed offering. Maybe we'll take a break, 5 minutes, and then we'll reassemble. Okay. Can we pause here? Cha, we're going to pause for 5 minutes. You can come back after 5 minutes. Yeah. Grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee. So what is being indicated is that you need to be careful about your own afflictions and let not that get in your way of assessing the suitability, the validity of your teacher. Because in Buddhism, teacher is not allowed to display any aspect of his attainment or realization.
Yeah.
And we don't have the clairvoyance as yet to assess the inner realizations of the other teacher, the other being. In reality, it's possible that the teacher, although is displaying the aspect of a normal, regular, ordinary kind of being, he might have very high realizations. And on the other hand, you are still kind of contaminated with, your mind stream is still contaminated with all kinds of kleshas and afflictions. And if you're not careful, because the basis is so pure, even a single moment of expression of displeasure can be very destructive for your practice. So you need to be very mindful of that. And once you've accepted the other person as your guru, you need to control. You need to be aware that if you see the fault, a fault in your guru, it's possible that is because of the influence of your own klesha, that thing is manifesting. So it's for you to control, curb your tendency to let the kleshas in your mind dominate, and then hence see the flaws or see certain aspects of the guru's behavior as being flawed, and hence then leading to a whole lot of negative karma. It's better for you to be aware that it's possible. Be aware of this possibility that it's the influence of your own kleshas that is leading to the appearance of this flaw in the Buddhist conduct and behavior. So yeah, so that is the reason why this practice is being spoken of here. But then it can be misinterpreted as kind of asking the trainee to submit his will. But that's not the case. Even the Buddha himself had said that do not accept what I was spoken out of respect to me. Examine it like goldsmith would examine gold by rubbing, scratching, firing, pounding the gold, and hence establishing its purity. Similarly, you need to examine whatever I've said through logic, through reasoning. Use your intelligence to examine if things are valid, and only then accept it. Do not accept it just because I have spoken. So the Buddha himself had given the liberty to his disciples to examine what he said. So it does not really ask people to give away their right to examine the teaching. But at the same time, you need to be a little careful, mindful, and be aware of this possibility that at times your kleshas could just come to the fore and make you see some shortcoming in the teacher's words. That you need to do. So better be safe. That's what. Okay, so let's continue with the other practice that we need to cultivate to strengthen our guru devotion practice, which is the 7-limbed prayer practice. So there are 7 limbs in the practice, as the name indicates, and this practice is done to enhance the accumulation of your merit, your wisdom, and also help you with purification. Purification of your transgressions. So, what are the 7 limbs? Are you aware of those 7 limbs?
We did that.
Yeah, in the first, the meditation that we had, we did the 7-limb practice. So, the first limb is the limb of obeisance or homage. Yeah. The second limb is the limb of making offerings. So, the first one is homage, vandana. Second one is offerings, pujana. The third one is confession or papadeshana. Fourth one is rejoicing. So punya anumodana. So anumodana is the fourth one. Then the fifth one is requesting the guru to turn the wheel of dharma. So fifth one is adheshana. Sixth one is petitioning the Guru not to enter Nirvana, although he has the ability to enter Nirvana, asking him to stay with us. Because if he enters Nirvana, then ordinary beings like us may not have access to the Guru. So requesting the Guru not to enter Nirvana. So that is the sixth one, Yachna. And the seventh one is the limb of dedication. Yeah. So these are the 7 limbs. And each one of these is actually meant to work as an antidote to a certain kind of affliction. So the first one is the practice of making homage with your body, speech, and mind. So what affliction do you think it would be the antidote to?
Pride.
Pride, yes, that's right. So homage works as an antidote to pride. Offering, making miserliness, yes. Confessions,
breaking of vows.
Yeah, breaking of vows, vows, transgression of vows, any infraction that you commit would in effect would be the cause of, would be the result of, maybe could be driven by any of the 3 root afflictions, could be out of anger, could be out of attachment, could be out of delusion. So all the 3 afflictions. So confession is a practice which works as an antidote to all the 3 afflictions. Rejoice in the merits of yourself and others. More importantly, the merit of others, so the good virtues of others. What would be the antidote of?
Yeah, I think jealousy.
Jealousy, yes, that's right, jealousy. The fifth one is requesting the Guru to turn the wheel of Dharma is an antidote to your tendency or propensity to ignore the Dharma or discarding the Dharma. The sixth one, petitioning the Guru not to enter Nirvana, would be an antidote to your having inadvertently maybe disparaged or shown disrespect to the Guru. The last one, dedication, is an antidote to anger. How do you think it works as an antidote to anger?
Yeah, because any merits you've accumulated is destroyed.
Yes, correct, absolutely. So through dedication, what you're doing is you're directing all the merit that you have towards the ultimate state of enlightenment. Yeah. So once it's been kind of directed, it's been assigned this goal. All merit that I accumulate, minor, major, past, present, future, it comes with this label, okay, to be ripened only in the state of enlightenment. So once that is done, any act of anger which has the potential in relation to maybe a bodhisattva or your guru, which has the potential of destroying your merit for eons, that is arrested. So your merit does not diminish because you've dedicated it to the final state of enlightenment.
Merit, a quantity that can be counted?
There is a certain way you can measure it. Like in order to attain the final state of omniscience, you need to have accumulated merit and wisdom for 3 countless eons, 3 periods of countless eons. So in that sense, so one period would be from vacuity, creation, abiding, and destruction of the universe. So that entire process, one cycle, would be 1 period of countless eons. So 3 such kind of cycles. Yeah. So that kind of gives you an estimate of the time over which the accumulation of merit has to happen. So Buddha is the state of Buddha is attained after he enters the path. He has to accumulate, the trainee has to accumulate merit for that amount of time. So in that sense, there is a measure of the merit that you accumulate, but that can be accelerated through the practice of Vajrayana, right? But the amount of merit that you still require is the same. Although you can accelerate its accumulation, the amount of merit is. So this practice of the 7 limbs, it aids in accumulation of merit, and it helps in purification, and it aids in the increase or the non-diminishment of your merit. So what are the limbs that would aid in the accumulation of merit? So homage would aid in the accumulation of merit. Offerings of his, then rejoicing would aid in the accumulation of merit. Requesting to turn the wheel of dharma and petitioning to not enter nirvana. All these would help in the accumulation of merit. Purification, the limb of confession would help in purification. And then rejoicing has both aspects. It helps in accumulation as well as purification. So half of the limb of rejoicing would lead to increasing your merit. Yeah, you're rejoicing in the merit that is accumulated by other beings. So not only your merit, you're also kind of riding on the merit of other beings. So in that sense, your merit is being enhanced, increased. So half of the limb of rejoicing, and then the limb of dedication. Yeah, as I said, dedication also ensures that there's no diminishment of the merit that you accumulated. So hence, it is aiding in the enhancement of the merit that you accumulated. So this is how the 7 limbs aid in accumulation, purification, and increasing of your merit. So the 7 limbs, we have seen what these 7 limbs. The first one is the limb of homage. And you can make homage, you can offer homage through the 3 doors of body, speech, and mind. So the first one, offering homage with body. So how do you do that? You make full prostrations, or you could make semi-prostrations, or just respectfully bow your head in the presence of the 3 jewels. So either you make full prostration, full body length prostrations, or you make a semi-prostration. Yeah. You make a full sashtang or ardha sashtang, or just bow your head. So that's how you offer the homage. And how do you do it? You have a certain object for your meditation. So when you're meditating and you're reflecting on this limb of homage, you have to place the object of meditation. Yeah. So what is the object of meditation here?
Your teacher.
Yeah. So the 3 jewels. Yeah. So the 3 jewels, and then there too you need to be aware that you need to have the Buddhas of all times, pervading the entire space in the 10 directions, all space and all times. So take all the Buddhas who reside in all the 10 directions, and past, present, and future. Yeah? Think about all of them in front of you. And then you make prostrations. Yeah. So, and again, when you're making prostrations, you make prostrations imagining that there are infinite copies of yourselves as or not, the number is the same as the number of atoms in the universe. Yeah. So you make prostrations with that many copies of yourself. So, all these limbs are presented beautifully in a prayer called the King of Prayers. So the Lambrim also presents that, cites the King of Prayers, or the Samanta Bhadra, Samanta Bhadra Charya, Pranidhana Sutra. So the prayer of Samanta Bhadra, the King of Prayers, or the prayer of noble deeds. So these are the initial verses presented in the King of Prayers. So the first verse says, Yavat kechi dashadishi loke sarvatriyadvatagata narsimha tanahu vandami sarvi asheshan kayatu vachamanena prasanna. So I bow down with a clear mind, body, and speech to all lions among humans, Narsimha, leaving none out, Ashesha. Yeah. So those who traverse the 3 times in the worlds of the 10 directions, Dashadishi, however many there may be, Yavata Kechi Dashadishi Loke Sarvatriyadvagata Narsimha. So all the 10 directions, Dish Loke Sarvatriyadvagata. So all the 3 times, Narsimha, the all lions among humans. Yeah. Tanahu Vandami Sarvi Asheshana. So I make Vandan to all these conquerors or Narsimhas, leaving none out. Asheshana. Kaya tu Vachamanena Prasanna. Kaya, watch, mana prasanna, with a mind of delight, with out of delight with my body, speech, and mind. So I make prostrations to all these conquerors from the 3 times in all the 10 directions. So that's the first verse of this prayer. And it talks about paying homage to the 3 jewels with your body, making prostrations with your body. So, as I said, when you're making this offering, you visualize that there are infinite copies of yourselves. So specifically, it talks about the number of bodies being equal to the number of dust particles or atoms in the universe. So there are like 10 raised to 82 atoms in the world. So you think about that many copies of yourselves, and then make full length prostrations to the Buddha, to the merit field. Yeah. And then it talks about how to make this prostration. So with the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva being, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, all the Buddhas visualized before me, I bow down. So with all the Buddhas visualized in front of me, with as many of myself as there are atoms in the world, and with energy for the aspiration of Bodhisattva way, I make these prestations out of deep respect. So, Kshetra Rajopam Kaya Pramane Sarva Jinana Karomi Pranamam Sarva Jin Abhimukhen Manena Bhadrachari Pranidhana Balena. So Kshetra Rajopam, all the rams, all the atoms in all the rams, Rajopam, Kaya Pramane. So Kaya, bodies, Praman is the measure, yeah. The same measure as the atoms in all the fields with my body. Sarva Jinana Karomi Pranamam. So I make prostrations to pranam to all the conquerors. And Sarva Jina Abhimukhena. So with all the conquerors visualizing in front of me, with my mind, Manena Bhadrachari Pranidhana Balena. And then I make prostrations with my body, with this force of aspiration for the Bodhisattva's conduct. So usually when you're making this offering of homage to the field of with your body, you visualize what is called the merit field in front of you. So the merit field like this. So this is the merit field, Lama Tsongkhapa's merit field. Yeah, so there's this tree-like thing here, and then all the different lineages of wisdom. So the method lineages are represented here with Buddha Maitreya in the center here, and the wisdom lineage is represented here with Buddha Manjushri here. And then Nagarjun would be Arya Nagarjun, all the Bodhisattvas, Arya Nagarjun and Chandrakirti, and all those practitioners who represent the wisdom lineage are here. And the method lineage is represented by Asanga and Vasubandhu and the other practitioners from the Nalanda lineage. Then the specific lineages, the Goya Samaj lineage, the Yamantak lineage, Vajrabhairav lineage, then the Chakrasamvar lineage, and the other Gelupa lineages, Kadampa lineages, they are represented here. This all lineage is represented here. Then the Lamrim lineages are represented here. Yeah, these are the Lamrim lineages. And then the Gelug Lamas are represented here. And then here there are different levels. So the first level is your root guru. And then followed by that, as you proceed down, the Buddhas from the Anuttara Yoga lineage, Anuttara Yoga Tantra lineage. So Tantra lineage is represented here. Anuttara Yoga top one, then the Yoga Tantra lineage, Buddhas of the Yoga Tantra, then the Buddhas of the Charya Tantra, then the Buddhas of the Kriya Tantra, and then the Sutra Buddhas, and then you have Bodhisattvas, and then the Pratyeka Buddhas, then the Shravaka Arhants, and then the Dakas and the Dakinis, and then the worldly protectors, and then the 4 protectors of the 4 directions. So that's the entire merit field. You visualize this merit field in the space in front of you with Lama Tsongkhapa at the center. And then you make prostrations to the merit field. So this is a very potent, powerful practice. You have a Thanga of the merit field here somewhere?
I was actually looking for it.
Yeah.
I didn't find it.
Okay. Anyways, you can get a high resolution image of this thing.
So I have one question.
Yeah.
I think it was in the Vajrasattva purification text.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It said there are two ways to visualize.
Yes.
One is like you described just now, where you have the entire merit field visualized.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
for someone who's a beginner like
Mhm.
I think it also recommended that I can visualize the entire merit field in the image of flattening.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the kind of meditation we do at the start of the session.
Right.
Yeah. So Shakyamuni Buddha is the embodiment of the omniscient mind of all Buddhas. So, because if you the other kind of visualization that you're speaking about, you need to have received some sort of an initiation to do that kind of visualization. Vajrasattva and all that you're saying, right? So Vajrasattva, if you want to practice, then you would have had to receive initiation, Vajrasattva initiation. But Shakyamuni Buddha practices a lot to a person who hasn't got the initiation. So, but the idea is to visualize the deity and then visualize the deity as being one essence with your root guru. Again, the practice of guru devotion comes in. And then visualize all these different lineages and all the different Buddhas from the different Tantra classes, the wisdom lineage and the method lineage, and all the Nalanda Pandits. Visualize this is your merit field. Yeah? And then in relation to this merit field, when you make offerings of homage with your body, with your speech, with your mind, then you're making your practice very potent. Yeah? So that's how you can do it. So maybe you can get a good high resolution image of this thing.
But actually, in the Vajrasattva text, it says that if you're visualizing like the mother, father, Vajra, mother, father, you need initiation. Otherwise,
okay,
you don't. But that
yeah, maybe just sing as in without the concert, you mean the Vajrasattva
right,
without
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think for all these tantric deities, you would need to have received an initiation. At least some sort of an oral transmission of it. Okay, so the in relation to the merit field, if you make these body prostrations, it becomes more potent. How do you make offerings with your body? Of course, you know, right? You cup your hands and then you touch your body, speech, and mind. So when you place it on the top of your head, it imparts potential for you to attain the state of the one aspect of the Buddha's, the state of Buddha, one sign rather, the Ushnisha. So Ushnisha, then you place it here, you collect the merit to achieve what is called the Urna, which is one of the signs of a completely enlightened Buddha. And then you place it on the throat, you impart the potential to achieve the enlightened speech of a Buddha. And then at the mind, when you place it at the mind, you impart the potential to achieve the enlightened mind of a completely enlightened Buddha. So this is with the body, yeah. Then how do you make verbal homage? So again, you when you're making the homage, you visualize infinite copies of yourselves, infinite heads, and then infinite faces and infinite tongues. So tongue would be the cause with which you would verbalize, vocalize your admiration, acknowledgement of the Guru's qualities. So imagine these many tongues, yeah, and then make vocal obeisance, homage by expressing the good qualities of your teacher. So you need to remind yourself of the good qualities of the teacher. So we just spoke of the good qualities of a teacher, the 10 good qualities of the teacher. So think about those good qualities and then verbalize them. Yeah. So paritrayak and avavadak and all those qualities that we just talked about. Yeah. And make inexhaustible, unlimited kind of praises of the Buddha's good qualities. So with infinite oceans of praise for you, which is the Guru, and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you gone to bliss. So this is the verse from the King of Prayers. So Teshu cha Akshay Varna Samudrana Sarva Swaranga Samudra Rute Bhiya Sarva Jinana Gunana Bhanamana Sthana Sugatana Stavami Ahu Sarvana. So Akshay Varna is the inexhaustible praises. Akshay Varna Samudrana, ocean of inexhaustible praises. And Sarva Swaranga, so with my voice, I make this ocean of inexhaustible praises. To whom? Sarva Jinan, so all the conquerors. And how? By praising their good qualities. Yeah? Sarva Jinana Gunana Bhanamana Sthana. Sugatana. Sugatana is the one gone to bliss. Sugat is an epithet of a Buddha. Stavami. So Stavami is I praise. Yeah? Stuti. Stavami. Ahu Sarvana. So I make praises to all these conquerors. So this is how you make the verbal homage. Then the mental homage. So again, with the mental homage, while you're making prostrations with your body, you visualize infinite number of yourselves. And then you visualize infinite Buddhas in the space in front of you, of all the 10 directions, in all the pervading the entire space, and from the past, present, and the future. And then each Buddha is surrounded by his retinue of the Bodhisattva disciples that he has. And then you make mental obeisance through recollecting again the good qualities of the Buddha. So whatever good qualities of the Buddha, omniscient state you recollect, just recollect those when you are making the mental obeisance. So here the prayer says, the king of prayer says, upon one particle, there are Buddhas as numerous as the particles of these worlds. And all are seated in the midst of their children, in the midst of the Bodhisattvas. In this way, all are spheres of reality, and I imagine conquerors filling all of those particles. So you imagine the entire space is pervaded with Buddhas, and each Buddha is surrounded by his retinue of Bodhisattvas. And it is in relation to the sphere of reality that you make the mental homage by recollecting the good qualities of the Buddha. So the prayer says, Eka Rajagri Rajopama Buddha, Buddha Sutana Nishannaku Madheya. Buddha Sutana Nishannaku Madheya, meaning seated amidst the children of the Buddha. Buddha Sutana Nishannaku means seated, Madhe, in the midst of the Bodhisattvas. Evam Asheshata Dharma Dhatun. So this is the sphere of reality, the infinite sphere of reality. Sarva adhimuchami purna jinebhiya. So I imagine this to be the sphere of reality, and I make mental homage, offer mental homage to the sphere of reality. So this is the third aspect of your practice of homage. So the second limb of the practice is making offerings. So offerings, there are two kinds of offerings. There's the offering which can be termed as surpassable offerings. And then there are unsurpassable offerings. So surpassable offerings are the offerings made by ordinary beings like us, worldly persons. And then there are unsurpassable offerings, which are offerings made by people who are more potent, beings who are more potent, like the Bodhisattvas. Yeah. So unsurpassable offerings would be in the nature of realizations of the Bodhisattvas, realization of emptiness, or some merit that high ground Bodhisattva would have accumulated. Or even when you are not in on the path of the Bodhisattva, as in you're practicing to attain the state of Bodhisattva, and you have some realization of emptiness, even that could be an unsurpassable offering. So worldly and kind of transcendental, yeah. So unsurpassable offerings are completely pure good things that are created by those who are powerful, like the Bodhisattvas. So the King of Prayers then has 3 verses which speak about how to make these surpassable and unsurpassable offerings. So it says, King of Prayers says, beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense I offer to you, victorious ones. So these are like material offerings that you're making. Beautiful flowers, regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils, parasols, sparkling lights, sublime incense. So all the precious, valuable, good things that you aspire for yourself, that you want to consume. Yeah, all the sense objects. So you think about the sense objects, and the best form of the essential objects you offer to the victorious ones or the Buddhas. Then there's another verse which talks about the surpassable offerings. So fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array I offer to you, victorious ones. So these are two verses which speak about the surpassable offerings to be made to the victorious ones. So the King of Prayers says, Pushpa varebhi cha malya varebhi. Pushpa is flowers, malya, mala is a garland. Malya varebhi, vadya vilepan chatra varebhi. Vadya is musical instruments. Vilepan is some sort of an ointment. Chatra is a parasol. And deep varebhi, deep is an light. Dhoop is incense. So all these kind of offerings, pujana tesha jinana karomi. So these offerings are made to the jinns, the conquerors, victorious ones. Vastra varebhi, cha gandha varebhi, cha churna putebhi, cha meru samebhi. So churna, vastra, gandhe, good clothes, then perfumes and sandalwood powder, heaped in the form of a mountain as big as Mount Meru. Sarva Vishishta view varebi, all arranged in spectacular arrays. View is array. Pujana tesha jinana karomi. So this is how you make offerings, material offerings to the field of merit. So these are the surpassable offerings. Then there's the unsurpassable offerings or the transcendent offerings. So with transcendent offerings, peerless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, I offer and bow down to all victorious ones. So the first two lines of this verse from the King of Prayers, it talks about making these transcendent offerings to unsurpassable offerings to the field of merit. The last two lines are to be kind of, affixed to all the three verses. So it talks about the specific mindset that you need to cultivate while making these offerings. So it says, I need to make these offerings with the strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way. So I need to have studied the Bodhisattva way and have had developed conviction in the Bodhisattva's ways. And then I offer and bow down in respect to the victorious ones. So the last two lines are to be affixed to the all, to the three verses. Yeah. So the last verse reads, Yacha anuttara puja udara tana adimuchami sarvajina nama bhadrachari adimukti balena vandami pujami jina sarvana. So bhadrachari adimukti balena. So with the force of, with conviction in the bodhisattva or the bhadracharya of a bodhisattva, I make these offerings to all the conquerors. So this needs to be kind of affixed to all the three verses. Anuttara puja is the transcendent pujan, is offerings, yeah. And I make these offerings, the transcendent offerings, to the field of merit, out of conviction for the bodhisattva's path. So this is the second limb. The third limb is the limb of confessions. So limb of confessions of papadeshna. Yeah. So why do we make confessions? It's because it's a mean to negate or expiate our transgressions. It's a very powerful way of purifying our transgressions. Yeah. So we have accumulated a lot of negative deeds or engaged in negative deeds, and we accumulated a lot of obscurations in the past. And these would then prevent us from attaining any kind of realizations in the future if they are not purified. Yeah. So any negativity that is left unattended will yield a negative result, and it will kind of put that much distance between your present state and the state of enlightenment. So all these negative deeds need to be purified, and one way to do that is through confessions. Yeah? And it's very potent, whatever negative deeds we may have committed, and we have committed a lot of negative deeds, but nevertheless, there's hope for us to purify those negative deeds Because even people like Ajat-Shatru, who had killed his own parents, one of the five inexpiable sins, so to say, he confessed and then he practiced the path, and he actually became an arhat later on. So even Angulimala, who had executed, killed 999 people, even he became an arhat later on. So these are very serious transgressions of sins. Even these could be purified through conversions. So how do you offer the limb of confession? So this is the king of prayers. Every harmful action I have done with my body, speech, and mind. So the emphasis is on every action harmful that I've done. Although it says done, the reference to all actions actually indicates all actions that you've directly committed or caused somebody else to commit, or maybe even rejoiced in somebody else committing a negative action. So you need to be very careful about, in the present modern times, you need to be careful about what kind of political ideology you subscribe to. Because there's a lot of negativity floating around through political leadership in the present world, modern world. And if you happen to kind of, acknowledge or rejoice in the actions of a certain kind of political leadership, political ideology, then that can create negativity for you. Yeah, so you need to be mindful of not just the actions that you committed, but also the actions that you may have caused somebody else to commit, and also rejoice in the negative actions of other beings. So every harmful action I have done with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and confusion. So these are the primary drivers of these negative actions, which is attachment, anger, and delusion. All these I openly lay bare before you. So I confess all these in your presence. So the nature of the sin is, as I said, the body, speech, and mind negative actions that you have committed, or enjoined somebody else to commit, or rejoiced in someone else having done it. Hence the emphasis on the word every, every harmful action. Yeah. So the root reads, Yacha krutam mai papu bhaveyaha ragatu dveshatu moha vashena kayatu vachmanena tatheva tama pratideshayami ahu sarvana. So pratideshana is to confess. With my mind, I confess all the negative deeds that I have committed or caused to commit, or rejoiced in somebody else committing. And these actions were caused because of what? Attachment, anger, and delusion. So what is attachment in Sanskrit? It's rag. Yeah, rag. Although colloquially we use it for anger. Yeah, rag is the word for attachment. Yeah, desire, craving. A person who's given up attachment, what is it called? He's called a vairagi, right? Vairagi is a person who is renouncing everything. So virag is vairagya is renouncing attachment, desire. The rag is the word for attachment. What is the word for anger? Krodh. Yeah, colloquially it's krodh, yeah. But when we talk about the three root poisons, it's attachment, then hatred, yeah. So hatred is dvesh, yeah. And then there's delusion. So delusion is, what's the word for delusion? Delusion? Any word? So delusion is more. Although again, colloquially, more we use for desire. Yeah, passion. Passion. Yeah, desire. So rag is attachment, more is delusion, and dvesh is hatred. So through the force of rag, dvesh, and more, we accumulate negativities by engaging negative deeds or causing others to engage negative deeds, or in through rejoicing in actions of negative nature committed by others. So I confess all these actions. Yeah? So this is how you engage in the practice of the third limb of confession. As I said, you need to be very mindful of all the negative deeds that you committed in the past. And if left unattended, if not confessed, these negative deeds become more potent. So the example given in the text is that, although, for example, you kill, let's say, a mosquito today or a louse, today, although it's a minor crime, a minor transgression, it will lead to negative karma, of course, but it's a minor transgression. If not attended, if not confessed, if not purified, then it has the tendency to become more potent with every passing day. And on the 15th day, apparently, this act of having killed a louse or a mosquito, if not purified, if not confessed, would have the same negative potency as having killed a human being. Okay. So it's said to be 16,000 times more potent on the 15th day. So every day it's kind of doubling. Potency is doubling. Yeah. So we need to be very
bad news.
Bad news, yeah. But then, as I said, we have the means to purify it. Yeah. So we'll see what those means are. So we need to be aware, mindful of this fact that they can't be left unattended to. Minor transgressions can become very potent. And typically why this happens is because we do not have adequate faith in the law of karma. Yeah. We take it for granted. I mean, we assume that we have some kind of understanding, but it's not reflected in our conduct. It's not kind of internalized completely. So any negative deed that is about to bear a fruit, it's difficult to kind of reverse that energy. But before it bears a fruit, you can purify it and prevent it from bearing fruit. So that's where confession of your sins becomes a very potent method to ensure that. So need to purify our negative deeds. And how do we purify our negative deeds? You purify whatever negative deeds that you were committed during your daytime. Make sure that before you go to bed, you recollect those negativities and purify them, or confess them. Whatever you committed during the night time, you purify them in the morning. So you shouldn't let any negativity go unpurified, unattended for a day. Yeah, even for a day. And how do you do that? You do that by recitation of sutras like the Confession of the Transgression Sutras. I thought I'll recite the sutra today, but maybe we don't have the time. Yeah. So Confession of the Transgression Sutras, or the recitation of the Vajrasattva mantra that you were talking about. If you receive the initiation of Vajrasattva, then you can do this. So these kind of practices can be engaged into to do this confessions practice. And another way to engage in this practice of confessions is by in reliance on what is called the 4 opponent powers. So what are the 4 opponent powers? It's the 4 R's. So the first one is reliance.
Yeah.
So the first one, reliance, you commit negative deeds in relation to either other sentient beings or in relation to the 3 jewels or the Buddhas, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever vows, for example, I have the vows which were prescribed by the Buddha. So the Vinaya vows that if I transgress any Vinaya vow, that transgression is in relation to the Buddha. So how do I then make sure that it is purified? Is by committing to this reliance to the 3 jewels. So I take refuge in the 3 jewels. If there's any transgression that I commit in relation to other sentient beings, then I can purify that by taking the bodhisattva vows, engaging in the cultivation of bodhicitta. So bodhicitta and refuge would be the way to cultivate your practice of reliance. Then the second one is to regret, to cultivate genuine regret, potent regret, not just superficial regret. So that would be the first step to prevent repetition of committing the same kind of transgression in the future. Yeah. So regret is the second practice. So regret helps you to recognize that you committed an infraction, and that would have a consequence if it is not purified. And it would have a consequence in the sense that it will bear a fruit that is similar to that transgression and proportionate to that transgression. And not just that, it will also strengthen your disposition to commit a similar transgression in the future. So you need to generate regret to arrest that. The third power, opponent power is refrain. So generate a resolve, a resolution that you will refrain from engaging in similar transgressions in the future. So resolve comes from very strong regret. So you need to have generated regret. So the point of refrain, cultivating refrain, is to ensure that you do not repeat. You break the continuity of that kind of mindset. The fourth one is remedy. So this is where you cultivate the actual antidote to purify your transgressions. So what are the different kinds of remedies? So one I just spoke about, confession of reciting the Confession of Transgression Sutra, or reciting the Vajrasattva mantra, making prostrations. So these are ways to remedy your transgression. So these are the 4 R's: reliance, regret, refrain, and remedy. So these are the 4 ways in which you do this practice. And how do you do that? Again, you can visualize what is called the 35 confession Buddhas in the space in front of you. And then you recite the Confession Sutras, the Confession Sutra, and while you are reciting the names of all the confession Buddhas, you make prostrations with your body. Yeah. So that's the third limb. We'll wind up in 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So the fourth limb is the limb of rejoicing. So what do you rejoice? So you rejoice the virtues, rejoicing the virtues created by 5 different types of special persons, and then cultivate delight in those virtues. As a poor person would cultivate delight when he discovers something that is very precious, when he discovers a treasure. So I lift up my heart and rejoice in all merit of the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions, the solitary realizers, the hearers still in training and those beyond training, and all the ordinary beings. So all the 5 categories of practitioners or beings, yeah. So Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, solitary realizers, Arhants, Shravaka Arhants, both practicing and who attain the state of Arhanthood, and then ordinary beings. So you rejoice in the merit of all these beings, special kinds of persons, yeah, not beings, persons. And then take delight in the virtue cultivated by them. So yacha dashadishi punya jagasya sheksha asheksha pratyeka jina nama buddha sutanath sarva jina nama tam anumodayami ahu sarvam. Anumodana is to rejoice. And what do you rejoice? Rejoice in the merit of dashadishi punya. Dashadishi is the 10 directions. Jagasya. So the Buddhas of in the 10 direction. Sheksh, Asheksha. So those who have gone beyond the training and those who are still in training. Pratyeka Jina Nama. Yeah. So Pratyek Buddha, Jina is all the conquerors, the victorious ones. Yeah. And all the ordinary beings. Buddha Sutanat Sarva Jina Namatam Anumodayami. So Anumodana is to rejoice. So this is the 4th limb. So the 5th, 6th, and 7th limb I'll just recite and then we'll stop. So the 5th limb is to implore the Buddhas to turn the wheel, the Gurus to turn the wheel of the doctrine. So you say, you who are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions, who have attained the Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening, all of you who are my guides, please turn the supreme wheel of Dharma. So again, here you imagine that the entire space is pervaded with duplicate images of yours, your body, and the number of your bodies equal the number of Buddhas in the 10 directions. And then you request them to offer the teachings, to give the teachings. So yecha dashadishi loka pradipa bodhi vibhutta asangata prapta tanahu sarvi adheshami nathama chakru anuttaro vartana tayeya. So this is the 5th limb. The sixth limb is to make supplications to not pass into nirvana. So with palms together, I earnestly request you who may actually actualize parinirvana. So you have the ability to actualize parinirvana, but please stay with us for eons, numberless as atoms of the world. So stay with us for eons, infinite eons, for the happiness and the well-being of all wanderers. So again, sorry.
Sorry, I have a question about parinirvana. If a holy being passes into parinirvana, they they can't take an emanation body and come and offer teachings to us.
Yeah, they can, but then again, they can take those kind of forms, but that would also be subject to the karma of the ordinary beings again. So, for example, Shakyamuni Buddha could take a form, but he can take a form and of the Nirmankai in a place where sentient beings have some potent karma to connect with the Nirmankai. Ordinary beings don't have that kind of karma to connect with the Nirmankai. 2,500 years back, ordinary beings also had that kind of karma. And in the present times, not everybody has that kind of karma. So those who do not have that kind of potent karma would be then deprived of access to the Buddha in that sense. Yeah. So in order to maximize that access, you'd still want the Buddha to not pass into parinirvana. So maximize the potential to connect with all kinds of beings. So again, you visualize infinite number of yourselves, as many as the Buddhas in the 10 directions, and request them not to pass into final nirvana in order to bring both temporary as well as ultimate benefit and happiness to the living beings. So, ye api cha nirvritti darshitu kamaha sthana abhi yachami pranjali bhuta. So, with folded hands, I make supplications to you who can pass, who have the ability to pass into nirvana. Kshetra rajopama kalpa tihantu sarva jagasya hitaya sukha. So, for the hit and the sukh of all the beings in the jag, in the world, with as many copies of myself as there are atoms in the world, I make supplications to you to not pass into nirvana. So there's this sixth limb, and then the last limb of dedication. Whatever slight merit I may have created by paying homage, offering and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. So dedication refers to never exhausting the roots of your virtue. So if you dedicated it to the ultimate state of enlightenment, then the roots cannot be destroyed of your virtue. Yeah. So it's locked. It's kind of labeled only to be ripened in the state of omniscience. So these are all the virtues that have accumulated through the first 6 practices. I lock them and direct them towards the state of enlightenment. So because now you've locked them and you've dedicated them with such strong aspiration, they become the cause for your complete enlightenment, and the root cannot be destroyed. So they can ripen only when you attain the state of complete enlightenment. So Vandana, Pujana, Deshanatai, Modana de Adheshana, Yachanatai, Yacha Shubhama Mai Sanchitu, Kinchi the Bodhai, Nama Yami Ahu Sarvama. So Vandana, Pujana, Deshana, Anumodana, Adheshana, Yachana. So all these, and Papadeshana, all the merit that I've accumulated through these practices. So whatever little merit I've accumulated through these practices, let this be directed towards Bodhi. Bodhi Namayami, directed towards Bodhi. All this merit be directed towards the ultimate enlightenment of Sambodhi. So this is the 7th limb of dedication. So these are the 7 limbs. Through the 7 limbs, you enhance your practice of accumulation of merit, purification of your transgression, and enhance whatever merit you have accumulated. Through the practice of rejoicing and dedication, you enhance. Through the practice of confession, you purify. And through the other limbs, you enhance your practice of accumulation of merit. So that's the purpose for which you engage in the practice of the seven limb practice. And then this is a potent tool to enhance your practice of, cultivate your practice of Guru devotion, Guru yoga. Okay, so we'll pause here. We'll just do a short dedication and everything. So just take a moment to reflect on the instructions that you have reflected on from the sutras and the other scriptures. So we saw how we can enhance our practice of Guru devotion by relying on the Guru in thought and in practice. And then specifically, we looked at how we can cultivate the seven-limbed practice. So let's dedicate all the merit that we've accumulated through participation in this discussion. So due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all sentient beings into that enlightened state without exception. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that is not arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Okay, thank you. Stop here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you online, and see you next time. Thank you for your time and patience. Yeah, Namo Buddhaya. Stop in. I stopped the recording, right?